Hello, welcome back to the Faculty Guide channel. Do you preparing for a PhD interview? Studying for a PhD is an amazing academic achievement as well as a serious time commitment, and it's certainly not one for a faint-hearted. Once you have decided to embark on this academic path, your PhD interviewer needs to be sure that you are able to rise the challenges and are academically capable of achieving this ultimate goal. So this is the sum of the thoughts is provided by the Computer Science and Engineering Department, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. So we let's see the how to prepare for a PhD interview. So in their computer science department at IIT Delhi, typically 500 candidates is applying for a PhD admission. Based on some shortlisting criteria, they interview more than 100 to 200 candidates, and typically 5 to 10 candidates are ultimately selected. They believe that if there is a better flow of information, we can make a acceptance ratio slightly better and students will have a clear idea about their expectations. Before reading ahead, note that these are the personal views of the IIT Delhi, and they do not represent the views of computer science and department at IIT Delhi. So let us start out by considering the BTech, MTech and PhD programs from the eyes of a common man. The common man perceives the BTech program as a program that imparts the basic engineering skills, and he looks at the MTech program as a program that teaches the students advanced engineering skills and also provides him some expertise in the certain area. And MTech is an engineering is viewed as similar to an MPhil in liberal arts or an MD in medicine. For example, a doctor with an MD in surgery is expected to carry out a complex operations. So we trust our lives in the hands of such people. So clearly, the expectations is that once a student has finished his post graduations, he is fairly knowledgeable about his area and has received advanced training in a particular discipline, right? Now, a PhD is a one step ahead. Once a person knows a lot about a certain area, he will also know about some of the limitations of existing methods, techniques, and theories. So, he and his PhD advisors will then have a certain ideas to improve the certain concepts or methods in his area. Such ideas make a PhD, right? So his students will then take several years to refine and polish the basic idea to bring into a shape in which it can be sent to a conference or a journal for publications, right? So here again, reviewers might have a host of concerns and comments that need to be addressed at the end of his PhD. A person is expected to know almost everything about the little tiny area that he has been working in, and to also a very technically proficient person. PhD is also a license to teach, conduct a research, and join the academics. Advanced degrees such as PhD thus need to have a very strict entry criteria such that they can ensure that the students meet the prerequisites. So the prerequisites is that the students must be very thorough in their basic of computer science, that is any other departments they are preparing, and should be able to answer the questions of moderate difficulty and fairly easily, right? So if this is not happening, then the students is not eligible to join the PhD program. In their department, they are mainly focusing on the basic mathematical skills and basic the skills required for each and every department. And give me some examples for the computer science department. If I roll a two dice, what is the probability that sum of the two numbers is equal to 7? The second question is in C, how do function a pointers work? How can I sort an array in place? So these are the questions, right? It may be asked in an interview. So what their expectations is that the students will be able to answer such questions with minimal amount of assistance during an interview. Students who are not admitted to the program face a significant amount of difficulty while answering these kind of questions, whereas the students who are admitted the answer these questions satisfactorily. Our interview process is typically as two rounds. So in each round, three to four main questions and many more sub questions are asked. Students get many chances to answer the questions, and most of the time the answers are not satisfactory, as the acceptance figures is indicating that. And let us go into the reason for that. I feel that we have not been able to communicate our requirements very clearly. As a result, the students community is not getting the right information. We expect that all our candidates will come to the interview prepared. This is often not the case. Additionally, a lot of part-time candidates have been perception that their job experience is substitute for a good interview performances. So this is also not a case, right? In the age of RTI, we need to maintain the transparency and fairness. After shortlisting, the only thing that counts is performances on the on the interview table, right? So the discussing the prior experience, professional contributions, and details of any prior research work is pointless. All the candidates are on the level of playing field, and they need to be able to answer the questions that are asked to them. This is the only thing that counts. Let me discuss the term prepared, right? It means different things to different peoples. Here is the way I interpret it. If I were to prepare for a PhD interview, this is what I would do. I would pick up some of the recent books on probability or C or Java programming or algorithms, operating systems, and computer architecture from the reputed publishers. Subsequently, I will read them thoroughly, cover to cover, right? So, and solve the all the exercises given at the end of the chapters. And I would also look at the basic engineering in a first year math textbook and brush up my mathematical fundamentals, especially regarding the transcendental functions, trigonometry, and linear algebra. I don't think that any amount of slides and online courses will really help. They are a valid supplementary material but cannot be the primary means for imparting the education. Additionally, it is necessary for a student to write a long programs to really understanding the programming and solving the complex problems to actually understand subjects like algorithms and computer architecture. Merely reading the article on the web and listening the lectures is not sufficient, and this clearly show up in the interviews, right? So what the interviews are looking for is actually a depth. Most of the questions started out to be simple. The follow-up questions are more complicated and typically exposes the weakness. And always try to do a go deep, right? So we often ask students about the number of lines of code that they have written just to get a sentence of their background and not a part of interview per. So the students who do not get selected typically a reply of 100 lines, 300 lines, 500 lines. This is not enough in my opinion. 500 lines of C or Java code do not achieve much. We should be looking at a minimum of a few thousand lines with a lot of object oriented constructs. Only then we can say for sure that the students can write the complicated programs. So the same holds true for theoretical questions also. So before coming into the interview, a student should have answered the hundreds of similar questions. So they can be found in a reputable textbooks and over the web. And so these are the questions that need to be solved in a entirety. We often ask the students to go to the board and write the answer. Thus, the students needs a lot of practice in writing precise answers that are easy to understand. In my opinion, nobody should come and interview with underprepared. It does not serve any purpose. So there are some other aspects also regarding the soft skills. It is necessary for the students to accurately understand what the interviewer is asking. This is not as easy as it sounds. Not understanding a question correctly is very frequent and takes the candidate of course, right? So candidates of course. After a multiple clarifications, if the students still not be able to comprehend the questions, then the interviewer needs to give up, right? So there are issues with the answers as well. Many of the time, the answers are not well structured, and because of the poor English, the meaning is not clear. So the candidates need to work on this area So it is necessary to read as much as possible such that the understanding a complex multi-part questions is not a difficult one. And I have found out that the students who read the more textbook tend to understand the questions much better as compared to the students who do not read them. It is also very important to read other written materials such as novels, newspapers, and magazines such as the that language skills are high. This will also ensure the students can properly formulate their answers. So let us come to the time and effort required in this process. Students from top institutes with a good GPAs or the students with a great gate scores are already preparing to a large extent. They typically don't spend a lot of time preparing. However, for students who do not know a certain subject very well for a variety of reasons, need to put in some solid effort such that they can come to the level of students to enter our PhD program. So we are easily looking at the several months of intense study for a student who is preserved to a weak background. In my opinion, then the traditional way of preparing is that reading the book plus answer the questions and plus revise. So other methods have limited utility. It is definitely does not make a sense to try to memorize the answers to a large numbers of possible questions. So the chances that questions out of the set will be asked in the interview is absurdly low. So it is instead a better idea to hop on the basics. So I hope this video will surely improve your career as faculty. Let us see in the next video. Thank you.